Good afternoon to you all, awesome and wonderful guys, matriculants. I hope you enjoyed your day today at school. How was it? Let me know. If in your long weekend, did you have fun? Let me know on facebook.com/learnextra. My name is Abram and we're going to have a great show. It's mathematics and we're doing it with Sihle. Sihle, kunjani ba?
Are you great, Fetch Mjanman?
I'm top
I'm
smart.
Nand.
It's
Tops.
been a while.
Hey, Fetch, I was away in Fetch.
Yeah.
USA. It's not far from USB, eh?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. So it was quite fun. Yeah.
That's why you enjoyed USA, hey?
Yeah, no, I did. California, I tried to visit a lot of places that side.
Mhm.
Yeah, visit some schools and so how they're doing their maths, and it was quite interesting.
That
Yeah.
was nice if you've learned so much.
A lot.
I know you
a
have.
lot. I think they also learned from me. Eh?
No, that's
From
great.
Mzansi. Sure.
That's a great one. Well, talking about your trip and all of that, what have you learned today about functions that you're going to share with the mindsetters?
Okay, guys, tonight we'll be doing functions. You've got your notes. Abram has got them for you on Facebook and on the website. And just today, I'm just going to go straight to the exam type questions. Reno, you still talking to them? Or
Yeah,
I can just
let me
go
talk
ahead.
to
Okay.
What did you bring me? We'll talk about that.
We will talk after
Can't
the
be
show.
at USA and not bring anything. Guys, I have your notes covered. Go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/learnextra. XTRA, and also follow me on Twitter @LearnExtra. Send me your questions and your comments about the show. Remember, guys, the notes that we have for you are from this awesome workbook that you can get for yourself for only 139 Rand. So if you're interested in getting this workbook, simply send an email to sales@mindset.co.za. By the way, the notes that Sihle is going over are from this workbook, so you better get it. Sihle, over to you.
Okay, thanks. Welcome, mindsetters. We're looking at your functions tonight. So I'm going straight to the questions. We've got the first question. In the diagram, the graphs of the following functions have been sketched. Okay, so we've got f of x equals to a bracket x plus p squared plus q, and g of x equals to a divided by x plus p plus q. Sorry, before we move on, you need to tell what kind of a graph is this. This is your parabola. It's your parabola, and this one is your hyperbola. Okay, right now the two graphs intersect at A, where we have 2 and 4, and the turning point of the parabola lies at the point of intersection of the asymptotes of the hyperbola. The line x equals to 1 is the axis of symmetry of the parabola. Okay, so they've drawn the graphs for us. So we've got the parabola and also our hyperbola. The only thing that we need to do is to answer these questions. Okay, now you need to find the equation of f of x in the form of y equals to a bracket x plus p all squared plus q. Now, just to remind you, if you've got y equals to a bracket x minus p all squared plus q. Now, your turning point here is p and q, all right? So that's your turning point of your parabola. Now, if we write this in that form, y equals to a into x plus p plus q, so I've got y equals to a bracket x minus p squared plus q. Now I can just go to my graph here. This is where it turns, okay? That point is supposed to be here, so that is t. Now, what is our x value? If you look at that dotted lines, that x is 1 all the way, and then y is 2. So now we already have the value of p and then also q, all right? So what we can do here is we substitute by p and we also substitute by q, all right? So p is 1. So I'm going to say y is a bracket x minus 1 squared plus 2. Now, so we have substituted by our turning point. Now the next thing, we need to go to our graph, our parabola, and see if there is any point that we can use in this equation now. So if you go to your graph, this point here, the point of intersection of those two graphs is A2, 4. So your x is 2, y is 4. It is part of your parabola and also part of your hyperbola. So now we sub in. So that is 2, 4. So y is 4 equals to a bracket x is 2 minus 1 squared plus 2. All right? Now, why are we doing all this? We're trying to find the value of a. So now if you look at this, we only have one unknown now, which is a. Now if we simplify, now you take that 2 across, okay? So you've got 4 minus 2, which gives us 2, equals to a, bracket 2 minus 1 all squared, it's just 1 squared. So therefore, your a is 2, all right? So now, what you need to do, you take it back to your y equals to a bracket x minus p all squared plus q. Now watch, you've got your a, right? Your a is 2, bracket x minus your p. We looked at our p, that it is 1 squared plus your q is 2. So you've got your equation in that form. So there's a square there. So it's y equals to, sorry, y equals to 2 bracket x minus 1 all squared plus 2. So that's the equation of our parabola. Okay. Now, we move on to the next question, right? Now, 1.2, find the equation of g of x in the form y equals to a divided by x plus p plus q. So that is your standard form. Right now, just a reminder, if I give you in a standard form y equals to a divided by x minus p plus q, all right? So with your hyperbola, if you draw your hyperbola, it's something like that, okay? Right, so your hyperbola will have vertical asymptotes and also your horizontal asymptotes. Now, your asymptotes, you will get them from here. So that will be your vertical asymptote. So x will be equals to p, and then your y will be equals to q. So those are your two asymptotes. Now you go back, you look at your graph. Now this is your first asymptote, x equals to 1. So that is your p. And then y equals to 2, that is your q. So you can just substitute. So you've got your y equals to a divided by x minus 1 plus q is 2. Now, from there, what you do is you go to your graph, you look at any point that is part of that graph. So now, if you go and look at that graph, there's a point 2, 4. So you take that point, you substitute. The point is 2, 4. Now, your x is 2, y is 4. You then substitute and work out what a is. So you've got 4 equals to a divided by 2 minus 1 plus 2. Now, our main aim is to get a. So take the 2 across. You've got 4 minus 2, which gives us 2 equals to a divided by 2 minus 1. That is just 1. So your a, guys, is 1. And then after you've found all these, your a, your p, and your q, then you take them and substitute them on your standard form, which in this case, it's given to us as y equals to a divided by x plus p plus q. So you've got y equals to, a is given. Okay, so y is, a is 2, now we've worked it out, over x minus 1, that's p, plus the 2. So it is in that format that they were asking us to find. I hope that helps. Okay, now, guys, we're still on the same question. Now, 1.3, write down the range for the graph of f, right? Now, you've talked about the range and the domain in your grade 10 and 11. And also in metric, we're still asking the same thing. So with your domain, you're looking for the x's, right? And then your range, that is y. Now, so now if you come to your graph of f, and f is your parabola. Now we look at our parabola. So when I come here, I don't meet my parabola. I move on, but up until I get to this point, right? And then I read what is the y value there, right? So y is 2, okay? So I'm starting from 2. I meet my graph, y values, and they are increasing, increasing, increasing. So 2, and then here it's 4, and on and on and on. And then you've got those arrows. It goes on and on, up to ever, all right? So now I start from y equals to 2. So our range will be y is an element of, I'm starting from 2, right? So I've got a square bracket. I'm including that 2, all right? But now it goes further and further, up, phezulu, right, up to infinity. And then you've got your round. Okay, so that is our range there. Now, the next question. You need to write down the values of x for which your g of x is less or equals to 0, all right? So this is our g of x. This is g of x. And we know that our g of x is our hyperbola, and it was given in that form a over x minus p plus q. Now, where is our y value less or equals to 0, right? So if you look, starting from here, right, this graph continues. Now you check here, your y is negative, 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 negative. It is negative up to this point where it is 0. So now you look at the x values there. So there is 0, there is also 1. So it is between that portion. So now you can say your x is between 0 and 1. Now watch, we're not going to include 1 because that is not part of our graph. That's your asymptote. Now, this is how you're going to represent it. Your x is between 0 and 1. You include that one, right? If you fail to interpret it from your graph, now what you do is you can do it algebraically. Your graph, we've worked it out. Let's just look from the previous. It's 2 over x minus 1 plus 2. All right. Now, this is y equals to 2 over x minus 1 plus 2. Now, we're looking at this graph here. Now, that's your g of x. Now, with your g of x, it's saying your g of x has to be less or equals to 0. Now, I take that graph, that's 2 divided by x minus 1 plus 2 less or equals to 0. But now with this one, you have to remember your inequalities. Although it is not that part of your caps now, but you have to keep your LCD when you're working out your inequalities. Here, you've got your x minus 1, 2 plus 2 bracket x minus 1 less or equals to 0. Then that's 2 plus 2x minus 2, simplifying that, over x minus 1 less or equals to 0. Then your 2x divided by x minus 1 less or equals to 0. Now, then you have to work out your solution, right? So your solution is taken from your 2x and also your x minus 1. So after solving for x, you've got 2x equals to 0. Then x is 0 and x equals to 1. Now, very important, this is less or equals to 0. You're not going to include that x equals to 1. Why we're not going to say x equals to 1? Because if you sub in a 1 here, you get 1 minus 1, and that is 0. You're dividing by 0, and then that's going to be undefined. So you're not including, but you can include that. And you remember your inequalities. That's going to be your plus minus plus. And you're looking for a minus, so your x should be between 0 and 1. But that is included, and the other one is not. Okay. Abraham?
Yes.
How are we doing? We still fine?
We should take a break, yes.
Okay,
Of course.
no problem.
Right, guys, thank you for joining us. If you just tuned in right now, you better look at this because I know that as matriculants, you should be looking at accommodation next year. If you are thinking of going to study at any high institution of learning or at any university, we're giving away 1 year of free accommodation at any South Point accommodation place next to your university where you're going to be studying. So look at this, and I'll tell you more details when we come back. Welcome back, guys. Now you've just seen that promo. Entering is so simple. I've already posted the link for you. You just click on that link and fill in your details, and that's it. Your name could be on the draw to stand a chance of winning yourself 1 year of free accommodation at South Point. Otherwise, guys, chat with me if you've got any questions or if you're struggling with anything that Sisha is going over. If you don't understand, I'm here to help you guys, and the notes are up on our Facebook page as well as at our website, which is land.mindset.co.za. I'm waiting for your tweets as well. Do send them through. Sisha?
Okay, thanks, Abram. Right, guys, we're moving on. Right, first of all, we did a graph. Then you needed to interpret it. And then here, the next question is they're asking you now to draw those graphs. Now, we've got f of x equals to 2 bracket x minus 1 squared minus 8, and h of x equals to 4 to x. Now, they're saying sketch the graphs of h and f, indicate all intercepts with the x's, and any turning points. Now, guys, starting with this function here, you've got f of x equals to 2 bracket x minus 1 squared. It's a parabola. And the parabola, we need x-intercepts, and your x-intercept is going to be 2 x-intercepts, okay? And your y-intercept, and also the turning point, right? Now, they've given us in a turning point format. So, we've got y equals to a into x minus p squared plus q. So this is your y, it's 2 bracket x minus 1 squared minus 8. Now watch, our turning point, it's p and q there. So you've got your turning point is 1 minus 8, right? Now, what you need to find is the y cut. So for your y-intercept, okay? So for y-intercept, let x be 0, right? So you're going to have y equals to 2 bracket 0 minus 1 squared minus 8, and that gives us 1 squared times 2 minus 8, it's minus 6. So y is minus 6, and it is wise to write in a coordinate form, so 0 and negative 6, all right? Now, we've talked about 3 things: x-intercepts, y-intercept, and the turning point. We need to work out our x-intercept now. So you've got y equals to 2x, y equals to 2, y equals to 2 bracket x minus 1 squared minus 8. Now, guys, for your x-intercept, you make y equals to 0. So we're saying for x-intercept, let y be 0. So you get 0 equals to 2 bracket x minus 1 squared minus 8. Now we need to make x the subject of the formula. So now you can either expand the x minus 1 squared and blah, 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 and work it out. So, but the quicker way here is to take that negative 8 across. You get positive 8 equals to 2 bracket x minus 1 all squared, all right? Now, you need to divide by 2 throughout because you want to get to this guy here, right? So we're going to divide by 2, so we get 4 is x minus 1 all squared, okay? Now, to remove that square, you're going to square root on both sides, but if you introduce the square root yourself, you need to put a plus or minus. So plus or minus square root of 4 equals to x minus 1. Then you take that 1 across, so you get 1 plus or minus 2 equals to x. Then your x is 3 or minus 1. Now if you put this in a coordinate form, that's 3 and 0, and then minus 1 and 0. Right. So we've got all 3. right? So there is minus 1 and then 3. So it's 2, 3, and then also minus 1 there, right? So those are your x-intercepts. These are your x-intercepts. And then we look at our y. We worked out what y is. So it is 0 and minus 6, all right? And then from there, our turning point is 1 minus 8. So a mirror image there, right? And then we check our graph is positive, so our A is positive, so it's going to be facing up. So we join those points. Then you've got your F, right? So we've got F. Now, they said we need to work out your graph of H and also of F. Now, with your H, if you look at your graph, it's h of x equals to 4 to x. So you've got h of x equals to 4 to x. Now, those of you who are struggling using a table and so forth, you've got your calculators, your natural display. So you can take out your natural display. What you can do is go onto your table format. So you say mode, and then 3. Then you type in your function. So it's 4, okay, to exponent x, it's alpha, that, and then you tell your calculator where to start. So if maybe we're saying start at minus 2, for instance, so start at minus 2, we end maybe at 4, okay? Step 1. Now you look at those points, minus 2 and 0.0625, and then minus 1 and 0.25, 0 and 1, and then you scroll down, you look at those points, 1 and 4, 2 and 16, and so forth, right? And then you take those points, you plot them in your graph, right? So you've got minus 1 and 0.25, okay? 0.25 will be somewhere there, and then 0 and 1, and then we said if you've got a 1, 1 will be 4, and then you've got a 2, 2 will be somewhere 16. And then your graph will look like this. Okay, so that is your H. Okay, now we move on. They now say, show algebraically that h of x plus 1 over 2 equals to 2 h of x. So you just need to take this information, all right? We know that h of x, so this is our graph, h of x, it's equals to 4 to exponent x. Now, guys, when you're proving like the identities and so forth, so you take one at a time, and then you take one at a time. And at the end of the day, it needs to be the same throughout. So now if you take the left-hand side, so your left-hand side will be h of x plus half, right? So that's going to be 4 to exponent x plus half, okay? Now, that 4 you can break it down to 2 to exponent 2, but put a bracket that's x plus half, which simplifies to 2 to exponent 2x, plus you multiply into that, so that's going to be 2 to exponent 2x plus 1, right? Now, then that's done, simplification there, and then you take your right-hand side, guys. So right-hand side will be 2h of x, but so that is 2h of x is given, so that's times 4 to exponent x. Now, that's 2 times. Now you can break down to prime bases 4, so that will be 2 squared times x. Now remember, with your exponents in grade 10, for the same basis, you can write 1 base and add the exponent, so it's 1 plus 2x, which is now the same as that, okay? So therefore, your left-hand side is the same as your right-hand side. The identity is true. So your h of x plus 1 over 2, it's exactly the same as your 2xh. Right. Now we move on to the next one. Your question 3. They're saying now the diagram below shows the graphs of f of x equals to ax squared and the g of x equals to minus 2 over x. So you've got a parabola and hyperbola again, and the point m1 minus 2 is a point of intersection of those two graphs. So that's your point, right? M1 and minus 2. Now find the value of a, right? Now you go and look for a, so that is y equals to ax squared, and in this case we've got a point 1 and minus 2. We can sub in the point that is x and y, so minus 2 equals to ax is 1 squared, therefore your a is negative 2, right? So that was your 1 mark. Now the next graph, it says sketch the graph of h of x equals to minus 2 all divided by x minus 2 plus 1. So this is exactly the same graph. Okay, this is y equals to minus, is it minus 2 over x, all right? Now, that's the graph. Now, they're doing something in your graph. So you've got your asymptotes now, x equals to 2, and also your y equals to 1. So we can put that in. So x equals to 2, and then y equals to 1. So we've got y equals to 1. All right? Now, we're taking it from this graph, all right? Now we have the asymptotes, so our graph should look like this, right? So our graph is going to be that. Now, if I were to have those points now, we know that those two, this is your y cut, this is your x cut. So now for y, you make x 0. So if x is 0, you get y equals 1 plus 1, so that will be 2, right? Now, for your x, you make y 0, so you get minus 1 is minus 2 over x. Abram, this thing is behaving somehow. So you get minus 1 equals to, okay? Minus 1 equals to minus 2 divided by x minus 2. Okay? Then you get minus x plus 2 equals to minus 2. Then your x is 4, right? So this will be your 4. So your x is 4. So you've got 4 naught, and then naught and 2 there. So those are your two graphs. Okay. Now, right? Abram, we're moving fast, or it's
we're doing
okay.
well.
All right. Now, we're looking at question 4. Right, 4, the diagram below shows the graph of 4 to exponent x and g of x equals to a divided by x. Now, this is your exponential graph, and this is your hyperbola again. Now, they're saying the point P, 1, 4, is a point of intersection of these two graphs. So this is where these two graphs meet. So we've got P, 1, 4. All right? Now the first question, write down the equation of f to minus 1, right, in the form y equals to. So now they're asking you to find the inverse of f. Now, guys, with your inverse, now remember when you're doing your inverse, for all the graphs in your grade 12, or what you need to do, you interchange the x and y, and at the end of the day, you must make sure that your y is the subject of the formula. Now, in this case, you've got f is 4 to exponent x. So f of x is 4 to x. Now, we want the inverse of this function. This was y equals to 4 to x. Now we're saying interchange x and y and make y the subject. So you've got x equals to 4 to y. Now we've got 4 to exponent y equals to x. How do you make x the subject of a formula? Now I can tell someone at home is like, duh, we're using logs. So it's going to be log x base 4 equals to y. So this is your inverse of f. Now, is f a function? Substantiate your answer. Now, if we look at f, this was, if we can just draw a rough sketch of f. If your x is 4, y is 1, okay? Now, if your x is maybe 16, y is 2, something like that. So, but we're going to get something like that. How do we tell if this is a function, okay? So we do a vertical line test, okay? So with your vertical line test, can you see that when I'm moving my line, I only meet my graph once. So for every x, there is only one y corresponding there, okay? So we're going to say, yes, it is a function. For every x, there is only one y or one output, okay? Now, they're saying 4.3, determine the equation of h of x, resultant function, when f of x is reflected about the y-axis. Now, just remind you a bit about the reflections. If I've got a function y equals to 4x plus 3, and then I'm saying find a resulting function from this when it is reflected about the y-axis, okay? So if it's reflected about the y-axis, so your sign, your x is going to be negative. So you've got y is 4 minus x plus 3. So you've got y is minus 4x plus 3. Now, if you've got y equals to maybe 2 to exponent x, and then you reflect this about the x-axis, so that is going to be, your y will be negative, so you've got minus y equals to 2 to x, and you make y the subject, so you've got y equals to minus 2 to exponent x. Now, with this function, you've got h of x, right? Now, it's a resultant function when f at x is reflected about the y-axis. So now we go to f of x. It's 4 to exponent x. So y is 4 to exponent x. It's reflected about the y-axis, so your x will be negative, so you're going to have y equals to 4 to minus x. Sorry, but we can simplify this to say this is y equals to 4 to minus 1, but all to exponent x, and then that is y equals to maybe 1 over 4, but all to exponent x. Okay, right. Next problem. Abram. We move on to the next one, or you still want to speak?
You can just give us, and then we'll do it after the break.
Okay, no problem. Right, with your question 4, guys, we're going to give you this question. No, actually, say we're still continuing with one question, I think. All right, it's still the same question. We can continue together. I thought it's a new question. All right, so now they're saying determine the value of a and g of x, right? So you've got g of x equals to a over x. We need to work out a, right? Now, but we know that there is a point here. So this is g, that's your graph. And if you look at that graph, there's a 0.14. That's part of that graph. Now, 1, 4, your x is 1, y is 4. So we've got 4 equals to a over 1. So a is 4. Okay, so you've got that. Now, the next one, find the equation of mx, the resultant function when g of x is shifted horizontally 2 units to the right. Okay, now remember, if it's to the right, you'll have a minus there. Okay, now, and vertically 1 unit down. Okay, so now we go to our g of x. It's going to be 4 over x, right? So g of x is 4 over x. Now let's just go back to this English. Determine the equation of m of x, the resultant function when g of x is shifted horizontally 2 units to the right. Now let's remember the standard form. It's y equals to a over x minus p plus q. So we're shifting this guy to the right, so 2 units to the right. So we're going to have mx, our new function, 4 divided by x minus 2. All right, and vertically, okay, 1 unit down. So 1 unit down, it's minus. So it's going to be minus 1. So our new function will be mx equals to 4 divided by x minus 2 minus 1. Now, we need to calculate the intercepts of mx with the x's, all right? So you've got y equals to 4 over x minus 2 minus 1. So now, they're asking us to find x and y. Now, remember, with your x-intercept, you make y0, your y-intercept, you make x0, right? For your y here, for y, let x be naught. Okay, so we're going to get y equals to 4 divided by naught minus 2 minus 1, which is minus 2 minus 1, and that's minus 3. Now, that's your first one. That is your y, because your x is naught. So you're going to have naught and minus 3. All right? And then the next one, we need to work out x. All right? So for x, you make y0, right? So now for x, let y be 0. So y0 equals to 4 over x minus 2 minus 1. Need to simplify and work out what x is. So take the 1 across. So 1 is 4 divided by x minus 2. Now I want to work out what x is. I can multiply it through by x minus 2. So if I multiply x minus 2 by 1, I get x minus 2 equals to 4. Then x is 4 plus 2, and that's 6. So it's going to be 6 and 0. Okay, so those are your 2 x's. Abram, over to you.
Thank you
Need
so
some
much.
water.
Yeah, a big shout out to all the mindsetters that are watching, Shelin, Butilo, Aaron, and Mahabo. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I know that you're enjoying the show and loving it. After the break, I'll be telling you more about another exciting competition that we have just for you. How exciting, guys. Be a Bright Spark. So if you think you are a Bright Spark, enter the Be a Bright Spark competition and you could win yourself that cool Chevy Spark L just like Dimakazo did. All you need to do, it's simple. 1, get yourself the Safeways K53 manual, or alternatively download the cool Android app, which is available from the Samsung Galaxy store or from the Google Play Store for only 59 Rand, guys. So what are you waiting for? Be a Bright Spark and enter right now. More details are on facebook.com/LearnExtra, guys. I always love to keep you guys updated, and I want you guys to get cool stuff. So you win a lot here as well, as much as we learn.
Exactly. All right, guys, Matrix, let's go back. Just to remind you, you did these functions last year, and we're just reinforcing these things because when we get to calculus, a lot of these things will be asked, okay? So you need to have those basics. Grade 11, it's very important. And like the question that we're moving on, now it touches on your grade 12 stuff as well, which is your logarithms. Now, question 5. You're given g of x equals to 1 over 2 all to exponent x. You need to find the inverse of g in the form g to exponent minus 1x equals 2. Now, guys, I want to remind you that you're not going to be able to write it in a function format if that particular sketch, whatever they're giving you, it's not a function, all right? So you need to keep it y equals 2 if it's not a function. So you've got g of x equals 1 over 2 to exponent x. Now, this is in the form y equals to 1 over 2 all to exponent x, right? Now, we said we're going to interchange x and y. So you get x is 1 over 2 all to exponent x, to exponent y. Right, now you need to make your y the subject. So you're going to say log x base half equals to y. So, and then now if we were to sketch this, we're going to get a function, so you can now write it in that form, g to minus 1, x equals to log x base half. Now, we move on to the next problem. Like we said earlier on, that if you are struggling, you can use your calculator, right? So you've got that function. Okay, let's erase everything. Now let me remind you, we go to mode, all right? And then 3, what's our function? Our function will be log, the base is half, and then x, x, and then equals to, right? It's one function. So we start maybe, for instance, from minus 3, okay? And then we stop maybe at 3. And then, now, guys, the reason why it is saying error there from minus 3, minus 2, and then minus 1. Now remember, we don't have a log of a negative number, okay? So we start here, when it's 1, it's 0, and then 2, it's minus 1, 3, it's minus 1,6, all right? 0 minus 1, minus 1,6, okay? Now, this is 1, 2, 3. Now, we're saying it's 1, 0, 2 minus 1. So 1, 0, 2, it's minus 1. And then 3, it's minus 1, something. So our graph will look like that. So this is your g of x. So that's your g of x. Okay. Now, they're saying determine graphically the values of x for which log x base half is less than 0. All right? So now we check where y is from 0 and becoming negative. If we look at our graph here, y is 0 here, it's minus something, and it keeps on going, but it is getting less and less and less. So y is becoming more negative there. So, but starting when x is 1, all right? So we're finding the values of x, and we're looking at the graph. Okay, so your x is getting bigger, so when x is greater than 1, then we're going to have our log x base half being less than 0. So this is our solution there. So x should be greater than 1. Okay. Now, question 6, right? Now, the graph of f of x maps to log x space a, passes through the point 16, 2, okay? Calculate the value of a, right? They're giving us x and then y, right? Now, the graph is y equals to log x base a. We've got x, we've got y. So y is 2. So we've got 2 equals to log x is 16 base a, okay? Now, from there, this is in a log form, okay? Now we can take this from log form to exponential form, and this will be your a squared equals to 16. Then your a is, then you square root on both sides, then you're going to get a equals to plus or minus 4. Right, but now if we look here, if I put a minus 4 there, then we're going to have a log of a negative number. So here our conclusion will be a is equals to 4. Okay, right. Now the next problem, write down the equation of the inverse in the form f to minus 1x equals 2. Now we have y equals to log x base 4. Okay, this is our original function. Y equals to log x base 4. So we need to work out the inverse. And then we said we interchange x and y. So this is going to be x equals to log y base 4. All right? And then we can take this from your log form to exponential form. Then we get 4 to exponent x equals to y. Because they said you need to write it in that form, so that's f to minus 1 x equals to 4 to exponent x. Now, they're asking us 6.3 to sketch the graphs of f and also f to minus 1 on the same set of x's. Right. Let's start with f to minus 1. So you've got 4 to exponent x. Now, if x is 0, right, then y is going to be 1. Right. If x is 0, y is 1. And if x is 2, if x is 1, y is 4. So x is 1, y is somewhere there, 4. Okay? And then if x is 2, y is 16. X is 2, y is, it's not drawn to scale. And then if x is maybe minus 1, y is 1 over 4. So minus 1. So we're going to have, something like that. Guys, we'll be having a graph paper and a scale there, but then it's something that should look like this. So this is f to minus 1. Now, we look at the next one. Your f of x, it's log x base 4, right? Now, when x is, let's check. If you put x equals to 4, y is 1. X equals to 4, y is 1. And then if you're, let's check. And then if your x is, for instance, if your y is 1, okay? If your y is 1, x is 4. If your y is 0, if your y is 0 for that matter, it's 0, Chief, this thing. Okay, if your y is 0, then you get log x base 4, then 4 to naught is x, then your x is 1, okay? Right, now, if you continue, this will look like that, and it's going to be reflected on that line. So this is your f of x, and that is your f to minus 1 x. Okay, so those are your two graphs. Now, Abram told me that you've got some questions as well. There's one last.
There was a question based on 1.4, and that question was from Charlene.
Okay.
Saying she didn't understand how did you end up with 0.
1.4. Okay. What's the question?
She said she didn't understand how did you end up with your answer, your 0.
Yeah. This part.
Yes.
Okay, I can just explain this one quickly. All right, write down the values of x for which g of x is less or equals to 0. And then we've got our g of x is y equals to, was it 2 over x minus 1 plus 2. So it's y equals to 2 over x minus 1 plus 2. Right. Now, that function, if you look here, they're saying your y should be less or equals to 0. Right? So your y is negative. So starting from here, on this function, this is your hyperbola. All right? So it's 0, and then it's becoming negative, but we're looking at your x values. So this piece is between 0 and 1, okay? So that piece is between 0 and 1. So your x is between 0 and 1. But now that 1 is just an asymptote, okay? So the 1 is asymptote, so we're not including, it's not part of the graph, and we only include that 0 because it is part of our graph. And we looked at the inequality as well. We said, with your inequality, right, with the inequality, you've got 2 over x minus 1 plus, was it a plus 2 is less or equals to 0. Now, remembering from grade 11 that we keep that LCD. So the LCD is x minus 1. And x minus 1 into x minus 1 is 1 times 2, which is 2 plus. There is a 1 here. 1 into your x minus 1 is x minus 1 times 2, so you get 2 bracket x minus 1. It's less or equals to 0. Then you get 2 plus 2x minus 2, all divided by x minus 1. Now that is 2x over x minus 1 is less or equals to 0. Now our solution comes from here, all right? So you've got 2 sets of solutions. There is one for your 2x equals to 0 and your x minus 1 equals to 0. So what you do is you've got 0 and then 1, right? And then you can have your rough parabola sketch, and then your solution, because we're saying it's negative, so it's less than 0, so y should be less than 0. But now we restrict this guy here, okay? We include that, so your x is between 0 and 1, but excluding 1, so your x should be between 0 and 1, right? Any other question?
No other questions. I just have comments to
Okay.
give you from the mindsetters. Lesego J. Kum says it's my birthday today. Yeah, happy birthday to you. I
Happy
hope you
birthday.
enjoy the day. Shivas, okay, there's another comment from Bokang saying, I'm now comprehending functions. A big shout out to you guys. Boko, and I thank you so much for that. I'm enjoying the show. Lovely teacher. But how can I get him to our school? This is your school, Kifete. He's here for you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
this
much,
is
Sike.
Thanks, bro.
We really had a great time. Guys, thank you for watching the show. And now, if you're between the ages of 18 and 24, enter the Future Stars Awards, and you could win yourself some great prizes. More details will be on our Facebook page. If I was you, I'll get all my friends to like our Facebook page and also follow us on Twitter, because you don't just want to learn alone. We are a team, guys, and let's stand together. Remember, this show was probably brought to you by the Department of Basic Education. We're so grateful for the support and the love that they're giving us. Guys, keep on believing in yourself, and all the best in all you do. Keep studying, working so hard. We love you. Peace.
Thank you.